Let's chat about some of the awesome stuff coming to DC Dual Force, but before we get into the news and what's to come, I wanted to quickly talk to you about what you can do right now in the beta as a budget player or even as a free-to-play player. So let's get into that first, and then we'll get into the news and all the stuff that's to come, because there's some awesome stuff coming to the game very shortly. Some people seem to be under the impression that what we have right now in the beta, what's in the game, the progression systems that are available to us, is all we're getting. All we really have during this beta period at the moment is just the dual coins that you get for earning each win, plus an additional first win bonus. Your first one of the day should give you 400 dual coins, then the second one should give you 300, and then the third one should be 200. From there, you'll be back down to the base 100 dual coins for each win. As an entirely free-to-play player, you might feel a little stuck as a result. I promise that this isn't a plug because, honestly, I don't really care about the numbers, but I recommend that you go check out my video about how you can improve each of the starter decks. Hopefully that video gives you a better idea of what cards you already have access to that are quite strong. Even as a free-to-play player, you get access to what I think is one of the strongest cards in the game, which is Truth and Justice. So if your main goal is to win and earn dual coins, starting with like maybe a Batman Wonder Woman list and building around Truth and Justice and big tempo plays, is probably the way to go, because you can blow out some of the strongest decks in the game just with Batman, Wonder Woman, and Truth and Justice. Thankfully, we do have a timeline of when the free-to-play experience will dramatically improve, and that's going to be August, when the daily login reward track is going to be added to the game. We're going to talk a lot about the daily login reward track later in this video, because a lot of it sounds super exciting. Even if your progression is limited as a free-to-play player leading up into August, I'd try not to be too discouraged between now and then, because all of the progress you make up until that point will be retained into launch, so you'll be ahead of the other free-to-play players that will come to join us at launch. So this is the perfect time to learn the game, even if you're a completely free-to-play player and you're going up against the strongest decks or whatever, which hopefully shouldn't happen too much, because there does seem to be some type of MMR system going on behind the scenes, so eventually that will even out. You'll be versing other people who are, if they do have the best decks, they're still in your MMR range, so you should be able to pick up wins in quite a few scenarios. Either way, like I've said on a handful of occasions, this is the perfect time to learn the game. If you think you're losing a lot to a particular card, think about why you're losing to that card. Think about what makes that card strong. That way you can evaluate better cards in the future. There are no consequences to making mistakes in the beta right now. There's no consequences to losing. I mean, you miss out on your 100 dual coins, but there's no ranked points you're missing out on or anything like that. There's nothing truly to fight for. Just focus on learning the game as much as possible. As for budget players, I would recommend getting one of the mini sets and then one of the Founders bundles. If you have to get only one mini set, I'd recommend picking up the Green Arrow mini set over the Shazam set. At least right now in the game, Green Arrow does seem to be the more viable leader. At least in my personal opinion, I think Green Arrow is the second best leader in the game, at least where we stand right now. For the big spenders among you, dropping a flat 100 on the highest value gem bundle gives you enough for what is basically a full collection. And it's not quite a full collection, but it gets you pretty damn close, especially because we don't have crafting right now. If you pick up the 100 and you go for the two Founders bundles, the larger one, the smaller one, you'll have enough gems left over to also get the mini sets, and you'll still have gems left over. This will get you surprisingly close to a full collection. To be 100% clear, you won't quite be there. You'll still come up a little bit short, but what I would recommend doing from there is just holding your gems and waiting for the crafting system to be added, and then from there, you know, disenchanting or whatever the terminology they end up using is, getting rid of all your extra cards or your duplicate cards, and then spending those duplicate cards on cards you don't own, and then from there seeing if you need to spend more gems to round out your collection, which I suspect if you do, you won't have to spend too much. Either way, I would recommend holding on to those additional gems until you have a bit more of a more holistic view of what crafting will look like. With all of that out of the way, let's finally talk about what I wanted to talk about, the future. There is so much cool stuff that got confirmed over the last few days that I haven't gotten the chance to talk about because I've either been streaming or I've been uploading other types of videos. First of all, we have the daily login reward track that I previously mentioned earlier in this video. This login track will change every single month, but as long as you log in, you get some pretty sweet rewards. You get random cards, sweet profile pictures, and even dual coins. Now, I would really recommend getting the gold membership because honestly, it's so much value at the price it's at. $9.99 a month for all of the stuff you get in the gold subscription is kind of insane. So if you ever intend to spend any money on the game and you're a really budget player and you only want to spend a certain amount, I honestly wouldn't buy anything that's in the game right now. I would just wait for the $9.99 a month golden membership, which gives you so much stuff, including access to higher tiers in the daily reward track. And for the first time ever, thanks to an article they put out about progression, which you can go read, by the way, I'll leave it linked in the description It's a really cool read. Well, it's less about progression, it's more about the stuff that's in the store. Either way, I'll leave it linked in the description. It's worth checking out. At the bottom of that article, they show us the login rewards, which I flashed earlier, and this was our first ever look at what the premium daily rewards are. Firstly, we have this incredible cyborg emote of him eating meatballs. I'm happy to have a cyborg emote. We currently have 0, so that's cool. Then we have a new card alert, new card. Another rare card, so +1 rare card compared to the silver members. Another new card, and a free pack. That's on top of the 10 packs you get each month for just being a gold member. More on those new cards shortly. We'll talk about those in just a minute. This is just 5 days from this month's reward track, so there's plenty of more that we don't see in this small screenshot. Also mentioned earlier in the same article is the daily quest system. There's no current estimated time for when we're going to get the daily quest system, but unlike the daily reward track, the quest system can more or less be added during any patch during any time of the month. The daily logins and the seasonal reward system can't be added at the middle of the month because it's a monthly seasonal thing. It's kind of awkward to add it in the middle of the month when it's based on the start of the month. That's why we don't have the login reward track right now. The login reward track is done. It exists, it's in the game, but we're in the middle of the month, so adding it wouldn't really make much sense with it. The details of the daily quest system are more or less unknown at the moment, other than the fact that there'll be a daily quest system. Just based on the amount of dual coins they give us right now for the first wins of the day, I'm guessing you'll be able to collect around 500, maybe somewhere between 500 and 1,000 dual coins a day from daily quest systems. And that's not to mention the also unrevealed achievements tab, which will also probably give you access to some number of dual coins. Maybe not, maybe the achievement's just a unrelated thing. With the addition of the login rewards coming next month, we also have the golden membership coming, which probably means we're getting the golden membership promo cards as well. We already know 3 of the special promo cards, and I assume that all of these will be coming next month, just because I'm relatively certain the Blue Beetle card's going to be coming, so it makes sense that all of these cards will be coming, which means we'll be getting a General Zod leader next month, which is awesome. That's just speculation on my part, so don't worry too much about that if I'm wrong. General Zod is awesome as a leader, and I've already done a full dedicated video to General Zod as a leader, so please go check that out if you're interested in General Zod. Wow, there's a lot of links in this description. As I mentioned before, there's also Blue Beetle and Starro. Starro's effect is a little unclear to me. It reads deploy something, I assume a card or a random card or a recruit from your opponent, I assume hand, in your empty space or something like that. But honestly, I would like to see the rest of this card's text before I speculate too much, because the missing words here could be a variety of things, and I don't want to speculate too much on Starro. However, Blue Beetle's effect is relatively straightforward, so we're going to go over that effect in just a moment. The reason I assume all of these promo cards are coming next month is because we know for sure that next month is very Blue Beetle themed. If we go back to the daily login reward track image, we can see 2 really important things. One is the Infiltrator Scarab, which is obviously Blue Beetle related, but also Brenda. Brenda is the best friend of Jaime Reyes, the current Blue Beetle. So it looks like August is the month of Blue Beetle, so as a result of that, it just seems to make sense that the promo cards featured in that graphic will show up as the promo cards for next month. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle recruit and leader that we haven't seen yet. The Blue Beetle recruit we see in the promo card graphic isn't even Jaime Reyes, it's Ted Cord, which means we still potentially have 2 Blue Beetle cards to show up, a Blue Beetle recruit for Jaime Reyes and a Blue Beetle leader for Jaime Reyes. Maybe not, maybe this Ted Cord recruit is the only Blue Beetle recruit we're going to get, but my current assumption, and maybe this is a bad assumption, but I believe this profile picture icon we see on the login reward track, I think that's the artwork they're going to use for the Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes recruit, and then we'll get another piece of art for the what I'm currently calling the inevitable leader card. I'm pretty convinced we're getting a Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes leader card, which is going to be awesome because I love that character. There's also this really cool package that's going on with the Blue Beetle cards, at least it seems to be at the moment. They seem to be centered around gold cards. Let's first take a look at Blue Beetle Ted Cord recruit. Hey, he's a silver card with 4 defense. We never get to see what his attack value is, but 4 defense is an okay start. And all we can see from his text is Hunter, play a gold card, your leaders. But just based on that, I think it's pretty easy to fill in the blanks, and the blanks would most reasonably be Hunter, when you play a gold card, charge your leaders. I don't see another interpretation here, so I'm just going to assume that that is Blue Beetle's effect, or at least Ted Cord Blue Beetle's effect. The card we were looking at before, Brenda, also directly mentions gold cards. It's very hard to make out exactly what Brenda says because the image is super blurry, but there are some key words that lead me to what I think is a relatively good educated guess. Though, keep in mind, it is still just a guess. My current interpretation of this is that it reads, deploy, draw all gold cards from the top half of your deck. I could totally be wrong about my interpretation of this card, and once we do have the card officially revealed, I'll be sure to do a review of the set once we have the full context text of all of the cards, similar to what I've done in the past with my set reviews. For now though, this package rewarding you for playing gold cards sounds super fun. Maybe the Blue Beetle leader somehow generates you a golden resource, or turns your lowest value resource into a gold one. Imagine turning a bronze into a gold, or turning even a silver into a gold in the late game. I won't speculate too much about the Infiltrated Scarab, because honestly it's really hard to make out the text of the Infiltrated Scarab, and it's a lot of text, so I won't bother. But the first line does appear to say hidden, and the last line does appear to say end, or maybe something like parting shot. But again, I won't go into too much detail about that because it's a lot of text. So yes, it absolutely appears that next month is the Blue Beetle season, and I cannot wait for it, man. I wouldn't describe myself as the biggest Blue Beetle fan. My knowledge of Jaime Reyes and all the other Blue Beetle surrounding characters is relatively low, but the media I have seen Blue Beetle in, he's impressed. He's a very cool character. I'm excited to get my hands on him in DC Dual Force, and like I said, I'm sure we're going to get a Blue Beetle leader. I'm confident, even though it has not been revealed and not been leaked in any way. I just assume that we're going to get a Blue Beetle leader, and I look forward to it. That's going to be it for me, though. Keep being awesome. Come join us on the official DC Dual Force Discord. Keep being awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.